Hey guys, this is Richie coming at you with another online Bible study video. I apologize for the fact that it's been a couple months since the last online Bible study video dropped. To be completely honest with you, I destroyed my computer. I destroyed my MacBook and was computerless for a couple months. And, that's it. It's kind of hard to make a video when you can't dump it into a computer and cut it and edit and all that kind of stuff. So I could have just thrown up a cell phone video, without all that stuff, but it wouldn't have looked that good. So we're gonna go ahead and got the new computer running. Go ahead and start back up with the online Bible study video. Obviously, it's also been the summer, so it's been a pretty busy time. We took groups to CIY, we had VBS and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a busy time anyway. So getting pretty close to getting back into the swing of things, get the kids back to school. So hopefully this will come back to a regular thing at least once a week and hopefully more than that. So if you've been keeping up with the online Bible study video before the little break, we are in the book of John. We are going to be finishing up the 8th chapter of John today. So if this is your first one, this is the first one you've ever seen, go back. Go back and rewatch all the other ones before that. We start in John 1 and we go in order. So it's pretty simple, but it kind of builds on itself and kind of understanding that kind of stuff. So if this is the first one, go back and watch the first one and continue through there. You can go to bordencc.org or you can go to my personal YouTube page. They're all there. So go ahead and watch those and then we'll get to it. So today we are in John chapter 8. 48 through the end of the chapter, which takes it down to 59. So just 11 verses here. As always, I'm reading from the ESV, the English Standard Version. It's the one that I like the most. It's nice and plain and simple, yet not too crazy out there in the translation. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and read that, and then we'll get into it. All right, so I'm sorry, before we read that, we'll go ahead and recap a little bit of where we were at. The Feast of Booths has just happened, and Jesus has been teaching in the temple. They bring out a woman who's been caught in adultery, and the real famous story that we all know where he bends down to write and he tells them that whoever's without sin, they're the first stone, and they all leave, and he tells her to go and sin no more. So this is coming out of that, and he's teaching and teaching. The Pharisees are really just beating down on him, and trying to get him to say something blasphemous enough for them to kill him, basically. They're looking to trap him, to capture him in a sin, to capture him in something that he said that is not right. So he kind of brings it to a head here. This is the end of their conversation. This is kind of the climax of their entire debate back and forth. So picking up verse 48, it says this. The Jews answered him, "Are we not right in saying that you are a Samaritan and have a demon?" Jesus answered, "I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. Yet I do not seek my own glory. There is one who seeks it, and he is the judge. Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death." The Jews said to him, "Now we know that you have a demon. Abraham died, as did the prophets. Yet you say if anyone keeps your word, he will never taste death. Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died, and the prophets that died? Who do you make yourself out to be?" Jesus answered, "If I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he is our God. But you have not known him. I know him. If you were to say that I do not know him, I would be like a liar to you. But I know him and I keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. He was glad. He saw it and was glad." So the Jews said to him, "Are you not yet 50 years old, yet you have seen Abraham?" Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." So they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. All right, so you got a lot going on here. A lot, huge stuff going on here. Jesus is making some pretty big claims, in this chapter here, in this passage that we just read. So let's go ahead and back up and break it down a little bit. The beginning, the Jews talked and they say, "Now look, obviously you're a Samaritan and you have a demon." So because he's talking about, and before there he's talking about the truth would set them free, that he is the light of the world, and that these Pharisees, that their father is the devil and his father is God. So they're like, look, you're a Samaritan who has a demon. So this is basically them telling him, look, you're not even a Jew. We ain't even going to take you in as a Jew. This is how crazy you're acting. That we're going to disown you as a Jew, and you're a Samaritan to us, and you got a demon in you. That's how crazy you're talking. But then Jesus comes back and he says, look, I don't have a demon. I honor my father, my God. I honor the God of Abraham, my father. But you guys don't honor me. I'm not seeking seeking my own glory. I'm seeking the glory of God, the glory of my Father. And he says, anyone, this is huge here. He says, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death. All right, so this is a pretty big thing. Jesus, at the time of this, teaching, he's like 30, 31 years old, 32 maybe. And he is saying to these old learned scribes, these old learned Pharisees, the leaders of the church, the pillars of the church of the day, that look, hey, anybody who follows my teaching will never taste death. That's how good my teaching is. That's how true my teaching is, because I'm from the Father, because I am the Son of God. This makes them absolutely lose their mind. They are just, crazy. They're like, now we know you have a demon. Now we know you're crazy. Basically, demon possession back then was, if someone was acting totally cuckoo, totally crazy, just completely outside of their mind, they were, they had a demon. They were said to have a demon. So they're like, now we know that you're a demon, because Abraham died. The prophets died. Yet you say that if people follow you, they will never die. Are you saying that you are greater than Abraham who has died? Are you greater than the prophets who have died? This is a huge statement. This is a huge question from the Pharisees, because Abraham was their, number one dude. The way that we as Christians look at Jesus, that's how they looked at Abraham. Abraham was this, super wealthy guy who lived in the, in Ur, where, Babylon was, in the Mesopotamia area, and God said, look, I want you to pick everything up and leave and go to this promised land. And through him, all of the generations of Israel came into existence. Jesus was a descendant of Abraham. Anyone who was a Jew was a descendant of Abraham. And you can look throughout Genesis and then down through Exodus, the entire lineage of David, of Abraham. And David was one of his descendants. Abraham all the way down to Moses, down to David, and then all the way through down to Jesus we see through the New Testament. So them saying, look, are you saying you're greater than Abraham? This is like their minds are exploding. This would be like, in our culture, someone coming up and saying that they were greater than Jesus. We'd be like, well, you are absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. He says, are you greater than our father Abraham who died? Are you greater than the prophets that died? Who do you make yourself out to be? They're like, who do you think you are? They're like losing their minds. But Jesus drops it down on one last time. He says, look, if I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he's our God, but you have not known him. So he's basically just telling them, look, you don't even know who God is at this point. You guys are so lost and so far away from God that you don't even know who he is. He says, your father Abraham rejoiced that he would see my day. Abraham rejoiced at the fact that at one point in the future, in the future history to come, that one day there would be a Messiah, that one day there would be a someone to come and take away the sin of the world. It was through Abraham down through the people, and we see sacrifice, and we see, through Moses setting up the law, but it was Abraham that was looking forward to Jesus coming. It says he saw it and he was glad. So the Jews said, look, you ain't even 50 years old yet. How in the world have you seen Abraham? Abraham ain't seen you. You're crazy. And then Jesus says, this is a huge, huge thing. Jesus says to them, truly, truly, which those two, anytime you say truly, truly, it's basically you are making a covenant that what you are saying is true. You're basically, saying, it would basically be like saying, if I'm lying, then you can kill me. The words truly, truly are very, very big in their culture. And he says, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. So this is basically Jesus saying that before Abraham even lived, even walked on the face of the earth, that he was already there. Now, obviously, the only way that can happen is if Jesus was there in the beginning, and Jesus is a part of God. So obviously, when the Jews hear this, the Jews think, that he's being blasphemous. They say, he is calling himself a part of God. He's saying he's a part of deity, so that there is, he has blasphemed against God, and now they have their right to kill them now. Basically, when he said that, as soon as he said that, they thought, okay, good, now we can kill this man because he is blaspheming God. So, and it says in there that they picked up stones to kill him, but then he hid himself and exited the temple. I would love to see how that happened. They're picking up stones, ready to kill him. They're ready to, throw these stones at him and these boulders at him, and all of a sudden he hides himself, and they're like, where'd he go? It's kind of like a Roadrunner thing. I don't know. So, how, obviously, Jesus was the Son of God. He could do whatever he wanted to do. But I would love to see how Jesus hid himself among the people and exited the temple. But there are huge claims by Jesus in this passage, huge claims of divinity, huge claims of being a part of God. Through this entire conversation of chapter 7 and then 8 that Jesus has with the Pharisees, he claims to be God over and over and over again. And that is so important to us because Jesus has to be God for his sacrifice to be good enough for us, because only God can take the wrath of God and survive and defeat death. So that's pretty huge. So that's all for today. Jesus was God. He was there in the beginning. He is a part of the Trinity. He is who he says he is. So we'll pick up next week and we'll go down through 9. Half of chapter 9, and we'll look at that. Again, I apologize for the long delay between studies. Hope you pick right back up with it, and we will see you next time. So until then, God bless.